friends, Zoe here. I hope you're having an amazing day. So today I'm coming at you with a rather juicy episode on my channel, if you will. I'm going to be talking to you about the subject of love and relationships, which I have touched on a lot in my channel, so I'll leave a playlist down below for some videos where I dive into coaching around why I've been single for a long time and my experiences in dating and just the inner narratives and stories that show up that are quite common in a lot of us. So I'm gonna get into some things that I've recently learned in my life. So let's get started. All right, so as you can probably tell from the title of this video, we broke up. So last night I found myself just scrolling on YouTube and I got clickbaited into watching one of these YouTuber we broke up videos. I watched it and I realized that as I was clicking onto this video, as I was watching the first few minutes of it, hearing about how this couple who I had watched on YouTube break up, I had a type of reaction inside, like a visceral reaction in my body that was like, oh, thank God I don't have to make one of those videos. Like, that was what was like going on in my mind, was like, oh, I'm sad that they broke up, but like, thank God I have not had a relationship, a serious one anyways, in the last 5 years since I've been on YouTube, because I can't imagine having to make one of these videos. And so I'm like, wow, that's quite an interesting thought to observe. And as I dove into it, I started to recognize where that comes from. So when I was younger, my mom dated a lot. She had this revolving door of boyfriends, right? So there would be new guys coming in all the time that she would introduce us to. There would be old guys coming back again. And that in itself is unstable. As a child who was introduced to all of these different people and, you know, building some type of like connections with them, or choosing not to connect with them because I knew that they wouldn't be around for long, because that was the pattern, I developed in my subconscious mind this resistance around allowing people into my life, right? So, I mean, I wasn't a fan of really any of my mom's boyfriends, but what I'm saying was that there was the pattern there. One, that the guys who would be brought around weren't going to be there for very long. And two, just like, don't get attached to people because they will always leave. And it's interesting because I grew up, I would always tell myself, I'm going to be nothing like my mom. I want to be nothing like her. She really was a mirror for me in my own life to show me everything that I don't want to be. And so I've really become the opposite of her. But there are ways in which I see her patterns and her behaviors reflected back in my own life. Whereas like, she was constantly dating and I just don't, or have not allowed myself to be in that situation. I really withheld in myself from opening up my heart. But I'm learning, and last year I became very aware of a lot of patterns and things that I have, and I shared that with you guys, and I'll continue to share what I feel comfortable with sharing. But that was a really big epiphany moment for me, because I've shared previously on the channel, I knew that I was aware of a story that I had, that no one wants to date a YouTuber, because based on what I've been through in my past and what guys have previously said to me, they never wanted me to kind of put myself out there in a way. And just based on what I've been through, I built stories around no one wants to date a YouTuber. No one wants, or men are not attracted to me because I share vulnerably in a public space. That was the story, the inner narrative that I had. So it's interesting that two of these reflections have come around on YouTube. Like, watching this we broke up video last night and recognizing, I was like, oh, thank God that I don't have to do that. Thank God that I have not brought someone into my life, introduced them to my people, my family, my audience, and had to tell them that they're going to leave again. And it's interesting because this guy that I'm seeing right now in my life, he asked me, he's like, so what would it be like to meet your parents? Like, what would that be like? And when was the last time that you introduced someone to them? And I was like, whoa. I was like, well, first of all, the last time I introduced someone to my parents was about 7 years ago. And since then, they've barely heard about my dating life, because I don't want to introduce someone to the people that I love, whether it be you guys, whether it be my parents, my friends, my family, because I don't want them to have to leave. I don't want that to go down. I don't want the we broke up video to happen in my own life. I resist that. And I've resisted letting people into my life. Even guys that I've dated in the past 5 years, like no one's really made the cut to be my boyfriend. That's all me, by the way, pushing people away and whatever happens energetically with that. But I always had this fear of taking a photo with a guy that I like, because it's almost like if you take the photo, something about the relationship that you're having is real. And even if I'm the only one who sees the photo of us together, it still makes it real. Like, it's still proof that I've built a relationship with someone in whatever capacity that looks like, and I fear it. Part of me desires it. Part of me desires like the proof that a powerful connection was built, and I love to take photos. I take photos all the time, document my life. You guys know that I love that art. I love that way of being. But there's just a deeper fear of like, if I have some type of documentation that this is real, then it means that it could leave. And it's sad when you uncover these stories, because I've had beautiful people in my life that I only have up here now. Like, there's nothing that I could just like look at a photo of us together and remember that time in Rome, or you know, that time here in Toronto. And I see how my patterns and my stories have resisted me from having the love that I desire into my life. I see how I've naturally held things far away because I chose to follow along the inner narratives and the stories because I was not aware of them. It is only until we make the subconscious conscious that we have the freedom of choice to choose differently in situations. Now that I've become aware of, I became aware of the story that no one wants to date a YouTuber, I worked through that. Now I'm like, okay, well, maybe there's a possibility that people can be attracted to someone who is so sure of herself and confident and uninhibited in sharing about herself. Maybe I can view that as possibly being attractive versus being something that people are repelled by. So when we find out what our stories are, we have the opportunity to rewire new ones in. And becoming aware of the fear that I've had around taking photos or documenting any type of experience with someone that I have feelings for, like recognizing the fear in that, I've only now kind of sifted through it a lot more as I was prompted with this video, We Broke Up. And I realized like, it's because to me, if I were to introduce someone to my online life, not saying that if I'm seeing someone, like you would see them on my social media right away, you should know that when I introduce someone to you guys, that's a big deal. Like, that's a big fucking deal. That's like me introducing someone to my parents is like me introducing someone to you, but you can see is because I care about you, my audience. I care about my family. I care about my friends. I care about the people in my life so much that I don't want to have a We Broke Up video occur in any capacity in my life, in whatever form that is. It's all fear, right? Like you can see is like I don't want to have to do what my mom did to us consistently to anyone in my life, because, you know, goodbyes are difficult things, and I understand that it's a flow of life. People come in and people leave, and it's all a learning experience. I see relationships unfolding in my life through, you know, my classmates, my friends all the time, and I've always wondered why relationships run so freely or flow so freely in and out of people's lives and they're okay with it, because I have never been okay with it. You know, it's so difficult for me to open my heart and feel for someone. Like, it's fucking scary. Sorry to be explicit, you guys, but I'm just like showing up uninhibited here. And I realized like it's because those patterns and the safety mechanisms that we put in place in our minds from when we're younger, those are the hardest ones to break. Because we lived our entire lives, one, not being aware of them, and two, having them run the show, right? Like keep me resisting allowing people in, and then if I allow people in, resisting any type of documentation, as weird of a thing as that is like safety, like a self-preservation. Like, okay, well, don't worry, like if there's no video content, if there's no photos, like we don't have any you know, damage control to do, or like we don't have to show the world that we made the wrong choice. You could say I made a really bad choice in being in a abusive relationship, but I don't believe in mistakes. Like everything happens for a reason, and I learned so much from that. That was part of the bridge of incidents that led me to following my dreams to Italy. But you know, after I broke up with that boyfriend, I went in, I deleted all the photos that we took together on Instagram because I couldn't. I didn't want to see them. Like I was just so repulsed by the way that I was living and what I was tolerating in my life, and it's became a self-preservation thing. It's like, don't take photos with the people that you like, or don't document it, because then it becomes a little bit more real. Then you have some cleaning up to do. Whether you're introducing them to, you know, one of your friends and you're showing them a photo, like all of a sudden it becomes a little bit more real. And it's, for me, it's when it becomes real, when I've made a decision that I really like someone, that's when it starts to get scary. So yeah, anyways, this is what I learned from watching a YouTuber breakup video yesterday and being clickbaited into that. Was like, oh, these are the, you know, first, the visceral reaction that I was receiving was like, you know, like this kind of like relief in my chest, like, thank God I don't have to ever make one of those, thank God I haven't made one of those videos. And then I'm like, where does that come from? Like, where does that come from? So be curious about yourself. Notice your reactions. Notice your judgments, your interpretations, your assumptions when you're seeing other relationships in your life. When you're watching maybe a movie and there's a romantic scene, like what are you telling yourself? What are the stories that you're telling yourself? Because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. What you tell yourself or what you believe to be true about yourself will be reflected back to you. Whether it's, you know, a dumb story like nobody wants to date a YouTuber, or something that feels a little bit more real, like the guys that I really like don't like me back. These stories that I've shared with you guys, once you bring them to the surface, you don't have to be afraid anymore. Awareness is always 90% of the transformation. But just open yourself up to being aware. And Laura and I actually just launched an episode of the Lo and Zoe show, which is what we've come to learn about what we went through in regards to relationships in the past few years, and just becoming aware of all the stories and how that runs the show. So if you guys are interested into more juicy esque content that is most definitely explicit, I'll leave that link down below. But anyways, this is what I learned. I love to share with you guys as per usual, so I hope that it helped ignite something in your mind in some way and helped you become aware. Love you.